Hello, class. This is going to serve as your chapter 19 lecture. And you only got a few of these left, so it shouldn't be too bad. This is all about media and media rates, and I want you to have this thought in your head. What was it, or what ad have you seen recently that was actually effective? And when I say effective, I mean it got you to take some form of action. Something you did or accomplished, happened, occurred. Um, you were influenced to do something, whether it's click, check out a site, anything of that nature. Have that in the back of your head as we go through this. So, three objectives. We're going to explain the concept and purpose of advertising in the promotional mix. We're going to talk about different types of advertising media, and then a little bit about the planning and selection of that media. So advertising is an important element of promotion. Businesses advertise to promote their ideas, goods, and services. And this is kind of the heart of that first objective. Why do companies advertise or spend money on advertising? Well, they want to make money. They want to increase sales revenue or market share or something of that nature. And so our vocab words for this chapter are all right here, and we'll kind of hit these. I feel like we're ending with a good chapter because a lot of this is probably some of the more familiar parts of marketing that you're used to. So media, and we're going to deep dive into these as we go along, but media consists of these various different types. We're talking about 5 right now, and that includes print, broadcast, internet, specialty, and social. And two that I will highlight for you right now, internet and social, and they kind of overlap, but they are what is new to marketing in the past decade. And I know a lot of you guys have always had a cell phone. There was a time, I know I've said it probably too many times this year, that there wasn't cell phones. And we lived in that world where we didn't have access to Google whenever we want, or we didn't have a notification every hour of every day. So, formal definition of advertising, a form of non-personal promotion which companies pay to promote ideas, goods, or services in a variety of media outlets. And that variety of media outlets is what we just talked about on the past slide. And they will have to decide how and where they would like to spend their dollars. And before we go any farther, I want you to think about this 3,000 advertising messages and what it represents. Remember, we're not up for 24 hours. So think about all of that advertising in a 16 to 18 hour day. That's a lot of information for a city dweller. And to kind of drive the example home, here is a large image of Times Square. And you can see all the advertising there. And fun fact for you, some of those buildings and the companies that were in those buildings have left and are long gone because it's so busy there it was no longer convenient. And they actually took their businesses elsewhere, but they held on to the buildings and just sold them literally just for the advertising rights and for people to put screens on the outside of their buildings in Times Square. Now, if you're an underclassman now and you work really hard and you're at the top of the business department, you have an opportunity to make it into the cadre. And every year the cadre goes down to New York City as a group, and that is absolutely one of the places they visit. And it is an amazing trip. I've gotten to go on it once. So, 2 different types of advertising that we're going to talk about. Promotional advertising, which is the one I believe everyone knows about. It's the one we've talked about before. Where it's just traditional advertising designed to increase sale. And then institutional advertising is designed to create favorable images for a company and foster goodwill in the marketplace. And I have quite a few examples of that right here. So these are Coca-Cola, Nike, Adidas, and they are advertising design that is almost like a public service announcement, or it's preaching some form of cause. It's almost like causation marketing. It's marketing that a company, they do believe in it 100%. That's why they're making the ads and taking a stance on this. Sometimes it's political, and I think more recently you saw Coca-Cola, which is a Georgia-based company, as well as Delta, went forward and said they were against the voting laws that were put into place by the Georgia state of Georgia's legislators. Probably the best way to say that. But you can see Adidas up here, one of the most world-renowned sports companies, started the campaign donating 10% of their sales proceeds to the poor orphans in Africa. Right? Trying to make the world a better place is all about what institutional advertising is all about. So mass advertising enables companies to reach large number of people with their messages. That's why you have things like social media ads, so you can reach large amounts of people, and videos are created, and commercials, and so on and so forth. The intent is to just promote, whether it's content or material or a new product, you're promoting it to as many people as possible. So what is media? Formal definition: they are the agencies, means, or instruments used to convey messages to the public. And I have our media types and some examples right here. Print, broadcast, internet, specialty, and we're going to go over some more of these, but print it's obviously more than just newspaper, as broadcast is more than just television, and internet being more than just the email opt-in and blogs, and specialties giveaways. We'll hit some more in a second. If I'm going too fast, stop me at any time, but we are making good time. So, formal definition of print media. Print media consists of newspaper advertising, directory advertising, magazine, outdoor, direct mail, transit advertising. This is just to name a few, and a couple of definitions to go with that. Print media is all of these. It's everything that is newspapers, magazines, direct mail, signs, and billboards. And then transit is advertisements seen on public transportation. And I know we don't have a public transportation system, but believe me, it does exist in every major city. And it is where you have the ability and opportunity to take public transportation. So advertisers take advantage of getting in front of that type of person. All right, broadcast media refers to radio and television. And radio and television is a national at times or network, and also local. So you kind of have this mix of you're able to advertise if you're a national company or if you're a small little brand, because even small local television stations cover national broadcasts as well. That kind of happens. You'll see the local television companies will cover a national football game, but then the news is just local. So, and the same thing goes with radio. And both of these are opportunities for companies to target their specific customer. It's all about finding that target market, which I know you guys know about because we've talked about it quite a bit. And they're able to find, hey, this is the type of person that watches ESPN, and this is the type of person that watches Discovery Channel. And they target their advertisements to those people for those specific products. So let's look at some data, because you know how I love data. Anyways, all right, this is kind of fun, but if you're looking at that top, you're looking at some of the most expensive broadcast TV shows for advertisers, and probably won't be surprised, but Sunday Night Football being the most expensive at the top. So it's approximately $603,000 to have your 30-second ad on Sunday Night Football. And if you remember back to the news and you hear something about how a multi-billion-dollar deal occurred with one of the TV networks and football, it has to do with because then the network can go ahead and turn around and sell media time at $603,000 per 30 seconds And if you think about how many 30-second commercials are in a Sunday football game, the amount of money adds up very quickly. Now, if we talk about the Super Bowl usually breaks records for being the most watched event every year. And the Super Bowl will run into the $2 to $3 million for advertising on its own. So you can see right there some of the other shows and what they cost. And then here is a little bit of a survey about how we as Americans feel about various ads. So looking on the left, we have the most entertaining, the most intrusive, and then the most well-targeted. And I don't think this will come as a surprise, but leading for most well-targeted and most intrusive, because those usually go together, is ads on social media. And that has to do with the amount of data we give social media companies. So just interesting information that adds some context to what we're learning about. Marketing is all about the data. All right, moving on. Internet advertising, some of the types. So internet advertising is the form of advertising that uses either email or the World Wide Web in some way, shape, or form. And a podcast is one of those ways. Brief digital broadcast that includes audio, images, and video delivered separately or in combination. It's been around for over a decade now, and it is just continuing to be a very popular way for people to build a show and a following, and then they use that following to sell advertising space. And the most successful one at that so far is probably the Joe Rogan Experience, who late last year signed a $100 million deal with Spotify to exclusively move his show to that network so that they could then use the same TV method and sell advertising over their platform to all of the Joe Rogan listeners that have now migrated to Spotify. So a blog, nice thing about a blog is that we've already made one, and we have one, and we know what that's about, but it's a way of creating content to get customers and people to come to your site. So fun little data about social networks and the ad revenue that they've had. And you can kind of see in here the total dollars growing. And then this red line represents the growth of the industry. So the growth is somewhat slowing down. However, the overall dollars spent is still continuing to go up. And this makes sense. This is actually up to date so far as to, I think it was... Actually, well, I think everything 2020 and 2021 are more of a forecast, as I think this only goes to October of 2019. So, but you can see those numbers are in billions. $50 billion projected to be spent on social media advertising this year. And the nice thing about social media advertising is that it is relatively cheap to get into. There's no $600,000 minimum to get a 30-second commercial out. You can spend $100 advertising, and you can target your specific niche and know exactly what type of response you get, because social media has that amount of data. But moving on, specialty media is inexpensive, useful items featuring an advertiser's name or logo. They're also called giveaways. They might be specials. There's all the merchandise that you can think of, whether it's a book, a shirt, socks, all of it is all relatively specialty. And it is so easy. It's fun to create. And I have a couple of examples here. And I very quickly was able to find shirts with my last name, Miss Reddick's last name. And honestly, this truly represents sometimes how the business department handles things. And Miss Reddick, you are the best, and we thank you for just getting it done and taking care of it. It's so appreciated. But it is literally that easy, and we, as a business owner, might give away a bunch of shirts with our name on it, offer them out, might do things like, I'm sure you guys have seen it, like the video, share the video, that type of thing. And that's what helps grow content, grow people coming to a brand, so on and so forth. So, moving on, other advertising medias. These are less mentioned, but digital billboards, cell phones, weblogs, news feeds, laptops, bathroom stalls, video games, Twitter, Facebook, video logs or blogs that are just on video, iPods. All of those are different alternative ways to actually advertise and do the same thing that you're trying to advertise, grow your consumer base, increase sales, that type of thing. So I got some examples of media, and a lot of these are really common sense. We won't spend too much time on them, but print is everything that is a newspaper, magazine, direct mail, transit, all of those things. Broadcast really refers to television and radio. Internet, opt-in, email, specialty, all the giveaways that we talked about. And then you have a lot of the other things. And that kind of reviews the past, I think it's 6 slides or so, where we kind of went over that specific content. So we're going to dive in a little deeper to a couple areas, one of them being print. And I'm going to leave this up here and say pause the video and let's take a minute or two and write that down and then hit play, and I'm going to go to the next slide. You guys can talk about the advantages and disadvantages. I'm going to save some of this video and save some space on my computer and not kill too much time. So pause it, 5 seconds, I'll move on. All right, and here's the second half of that. And like I said, dive a little bit deeper, have the discussion, and we'll move on. Pause it, let everybody write this down. We'll move on shortly. All right, internet advertising. So internet advertising breaks into a number of areas. That is email, banner ads, search engine ads, rich media ads, video ads, social media, and I'm going to see if I can give you some examples of a couple of these real quick. So this is Reuters, and right up on top you have what's called a banner ad, and a lot of times that banner ad will coordinate right here, and it actually does. It's both about investments, I believe, and tied together. And this is, I don't think it's called a banner ad actually, but it is another internet ad that Reuters uses, and both of these make the company some money. Moving further down, you can see a video ad popping on here. And, well, looks like maybe the school blocked it. Let me see if I go into an actual news story. We'll see if we find another banner ad real quick. Oh, I think it's popping up. There it is. ADP, always stay compliant. And that's another finance spider. So you can see those ads. That's how Reuters makes money. The more times you click. Here's a video ad going on. XLF is the financial sector and incorporates a number of banks into an ETF. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong class talking about finance. If you want to learn more about that, we do spend some time on that in Principles of Business and in Entrepreneurship. So, anyways, but we're talking about banner ads and email ads so far. I'm going to bring this back real quick and jump on Google. And let me see. I recently had to buy my kids sandals. So let me see. I'm going to Google search some kids sandals and see what pops up. So here we go. Back on this. So kids sandals is what I Googled because I had to buy my kids sandals. And just so you can see right here, it says ad. Search engine ad. And this is where these companies are paying to be up here on Google search. And as you go farther down, the ad item is removed. And this is where search engine optimization comes in, where companies spend tons of money to be in this position, and then going a little bit further down, they want to be on this page so that they are not forgotten, because the companies that are on this page over here are not really seen. No one clicks on 10, no one clicks next. Most people hit 1, 2, or 3, find what they're looking for. All right. We're going to keep going. We're going to wrap this up today with a little bit about social media. So I was looking through and I found this little article about the top 8 social media apps going right now. And it was pretty relevant. And I thought it even mentioned the fact that it mentioned TikTok and said TikTok was number 1. It was the breakout and had as many users as it did. I thought this was a pretty relevant source. But these are some of what it calls the top social media apps right now. Most of these active users, that's based on a monthly basis. Their founding dates, I believe, are pretty accurate. And they're all up and running currently. They're all obviously incredibly popular. I'm sure you guys have all heard of them. What I want you to think about is how they each have their own various target markets. And there is a different type of user that goes on each one of them, and they are specific advertisers for them. And so LinkedIn provides a number of job services, and that's why people use it when they're looking for jobs or building out their platform for who they are and their career. That's what they use. So you can imagine what's on there. A lot of companies that are recruiting, people that use LinkedIn actively, and anything that revolves around getting a job. And that's just an example of how the right companies target users based on what that social media platform is for. Young companies tend not to go to Facebook as much because Facebook is not for your generation at this point. You guys have found other ways of using social media. Facebook targets my generation and older because that's the first group that used that type of app and program, software, however you want to look at it. And that's kind of where they have stayed. So I wanted you to be aware of this information. My last question for you, and I'm going to wrap this video up, is how has social media changed marketing? I'm going to say pause this video real quick. I'll tell you my thoughts, but before I tell you my thoughts, I want to hear your thoughts. So do me a favor, pause it, and then in 5 seconds, I'm going to go on to the next slide. All right, here are my thoughts. Marketing is easier. Social media allows for feedback through the use of reviews. Communicating with customers is easier to do. I can remember a time where my mother-in-law had an issue getting on a plane, and it was with Frontier, and I was able to go on Facebook and blew up their Facebook, and it helped solve the problem. It's all digital. There's no more flyers or paper, which in my opinion was kind of a waste. And when I get direct mail, most of the direct mail I get winds up going in the trash. And with Facebook, you're actually able to really target what people like or what they watch. You can really focus in on who your potential customer is if you're able to identify them. So the last thing we're going to talk about is media planning and selection tips. So media planning, the formal definition, is the process of selecting the appropriate advertising media, which is print, broadcast, internet, social, specialty, and deciding the time or space in which ads should appear to accomplish a given marketing objective. So you have to have a goal and objective that you're trying to hit. They say use media planning software. Really, it boils down to you're going to have a budget that you're going to spend. You're going to focus on getting the most out of that budget based on where your target audience is, and you're going to use the information that you know about your target market, which is this audience information, in order to plan out your marketing strategy. And you're going to kind of go from there and use what your budget allots to get the best bang for your buck. we're going to have a project like this next week. We're going to keep digging into some of the social media stuff. But we got one more section in this chapter and then one more chapter after that. So you guys are well on your way to being done. So I'm stopping the video here. That's it for 19.1, and I'll see you in 19.2.